As we age, many changes unfold quietly inside the body, changes that most of us don't notice until we begin to feel different. We might think it's just part of getting older, slow mornings, fatigue, or frequent little health annoyances that come and go. But what if I told you that some of these subtle changes are actually signs that your immune system, once a powerful shield, is now becoming more fragile? For older women especially, this vulnerability can open the door to hidden viruses that don't make a loud entrance but silently settle in and slowly erode well-being. And they're not always the ones you expect. There's something called immunosenescence, a fancy term for the aging of your immune system. It doesn't happen overnight and it's not obvious at first, but it affects how your body responds to infections. The immune cells don't communicate as effectively anymore, and their ability to identify threats becomes sluggish. Now, layer on top of that the hormonal shifts that happen during and after menopause, and you've got a perfect storm. Estrogen, which used to support immune function in various ways, starts to decline, and so does the body's natural defense mechanism. This means that even viruses you've carried for years, dormant and harmless, can begin to reactivate. One of the best examples of this is the varicella zoster virus, the same virus that causes chickenpox. It can lie dormant in your nerve cells for decades. Then, suddenly, it reactivates and causes shingles, which can be intensely painful and even lead to long-term nerve damage. It often strikes without warning, but it's especially common in women over 60. And this is just one virus. There's also cytomegalovirus, which can quietly affect organs and weaken immunity even further, or Epstein-Barr virus, which has been linked to long-term fatigue and autoimmune issues. These aren't things you hear about every day, and that's the problem. They remain hidden until they become serious. Another reason older women are more at risk is because they often put themselves last. The caregiver role many women take on through their lives doesn't magically end when they reach their 60s or 70s. In fact, for many, it continues, whether it's looking after grandchildren, checking in on friends, or helping their partners. And in doing all of that, they sometimes neglect their own health. They may not notice the early warning signs of a viral infection or might brush off repeated illnesses as it's just a cold. But when the immune system isn't operating at full strength, even a simple virus can have long-term consequences. There's also an invisible mental and emotional layer. Chronic stress, which women often carry silently for years, can suppress immune function even more. This creates a vulnerable internal environment where viruses can take root or reactivate. So it's not just about exposure, it's about what's happening inside the body that allows these viruses to persist. And because the symptoms are often vague, like joint aches, unexplained fatigue, or low-grade fevers, many older women don't realize they're dealing with something viral until they've lived with the discomfort for months, even years. Now, it's important to say this. Vulnerability does not mean helplessness, but awareness must come first. Knowing that your immune system changes with age and that certain viruses take advantage of those changes allows you to respond differently. It encourages you to take your own health more seriously, not just when something goes wrong, but as a daily practice of vigilance. This isn't about fear. It's about understanding your body in a new phase of life and respecting the subtle signals it gives you. Older women are not fragile. They are wise, powerful, and full of life experience. But no one is immune to time. That's why taking care of your immune health becomes more than a suggestion. It becomes a responsibility. Because when viruses are hiding in the background, waiting for a chance to take over, it's your inner resilience that will protect you, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally too. And if you begin by truly listening to your body, when we think of viruses or infections, many of us imagine dramatic moments, a bad fever, a hospital visit, or the kind of illness that knocks you off your feet. But the truth is, some of the most dangerous viruses don't announce themselves that way. They slip into your life through the most ordinary places during the most ordinary activities, and this is especially true for older women who often find themselves in environments where these hidden threats are quietly waiting. It's not about being paranoid. It's about being aware that your daily routine might be exposing you to more than you think. Think about how many places you visit in a week. A trip to the grocery store, a doctor's appointment, a visit to a friend's home, or even a walk through the local community center. These are all familiar, comforting routines, but they're also environments where viruses love to linger. Grocery carts, elevator buttons, doorknobs, pens at the bank counter, these are all high-touch surfaces. And because most of these viruses are transmitted through respiratory droplets or direct contact, you don't need a sick person coughing on you to get exposed. All it takes is touching a contaminated surface and then rubbing your eyes, nose, or lips without realizing it. And then there's family, grandchildren in particular. We love them, we embrace them, and we cherish those moments of connection. But children, especially those in school or daycare, are some of the most efficient carriers of viruses. They can be completely asymptomatic and still pass something along. What they recover from in a day or two might take an older adult 2 weeks, or turn into something more complicated altogether. Respiratory syncytial virus, RSV, for instance, can be mild in young children, but devastating for older adults. The same goes for seasonal flu, which can land an older woman in the hospital, even if it starts with just a sniffle or a sore throat. Public places where people gather regularly, like senior centers or churches, can also be silent transmission zones. These are beautiful spaces meant for community, but they also create opportunities for close contact and shared air, perfect conditions for airborne viruses. Someone doesn't even have to feel sick to be contagious. A person may be in the early stages of a viral infection with no outward symptoms yet, and still be spreading the virus simply by talking, laughing, or breathing in close quarters. And because older women tend to be more social in these years, connecting with friends, joining group activities, volunteering, it's easy to overlook how frequent and intimate these exposures really are. Medical settings bring a different kind of risk. Going to a clinic or hospital should be about healing, but ironically, these are also places where high concentrations of germs gather. Waiting rooms, examination tables, even the air inside those spaces can carry pathogens. If you're going for routine checkups or treatments, that's necessary and important, but it also means you're sharing a space with other patients who might be carrying something infectious. And because many viruses are hardy and can survive on surfaces for hours, sometimes even days, all it takes is a quick touch to your face after handling a clipboard or a magazine, and your body has already begun the fight. And then there's travel. Whether it's public buses, airplanes, or even ride-sharing vehicles, older women often find themselves in tightly enclosed environments with poor air circulation and no way to avoid close proximity with others. Touchscreens, seatbelts, trays, these are all surfaces that thousands of hands have touched before yours. Add in fatigue from the journey, a compromised immune system from stress or lack of sleep, and you're even more susceptible to catching something your body might have resisted under normal conditions. Now, does this mean you need to hide away from life, stop seeing your grandkids, or avoid every public space? Of course not. Life is meant to be lived fully with connection, movement, and joy, but we can't protect ourselves from what we don't recognize. Understanding where these hidden exposures happen gives you the power to be proactive, not fearful. Something as simple as carrying hand sanitizer, washing your hands often, avoiding touching your face, and staying home when others around you are unwell can make a big difference. The real key is not to let these daily exposures add up without resistance, because what might seem like a harmless sniffle from someone else can become a lingering, energy-draining illness in your body. The places you frequent should be a source of peace and connection, not quiet harm. So bring awareness into the room with you. Carry your health like a shield, knowing that being mindful of your surroundings isn't a burden. It's a form of deep self-respect. One of the most dangerous things about hidden viruses is how easily they disguise themselves. They rarely show up with flashing warning signs. Instead, they slip into your life with symptoms so ordinary, so easy to dismiss, that they're often mistaken for just part of getting older. That's exactly why they go unnoticed until the damage is already done. For older women especially, who are already balancing hormonal changes, shifting energy levels and emotional responsibilities, it becomes even harder to tell what's a normal part of aging and what's actually a red flag. You wake up one morning feeling more tired than usual. Not exhausted, not sick, just a little slower, a little heavier in your body. Maybe you write it off as poor sleep or a busy week. A few days go by and you start to notice your memory is a little fuzzy, or you can't focus like you used to. Still, you push through. Still, you push through. After all, there are errands to run, people to care for, things that need your attention. Then one day you find a rash or a tingling sensation that doesn't go away, or you begin to feel nerve pain, burning or itching in a place that seems completely random. You try a few home remedies, maybe take a pain reliever, and keep moving forward. But none of it feels quite right. These are the kinds of signs that often point to a deeper issue, viral activity, quietly working its way through your system. Shingles, for instance, doesn't always start with a rash. It can begin with days of fatigue, skin sensitivity, or localized pain. Epstein-Barr virus can trigger months of low energy, brain fog, or even mood shifts before it's ever identified. Cytomegalovirus can make you feel like you're constantly battling something low-level, like a cold that never fully goes away. And because these symptoms don't scream urgent, they're easy to ignore. But the body is always talking. It's just that we've never been taught to truly listen to it. Part of the problem is how women are conditioned to normalize discomfort. From a young age, girls are taught to be strong, to minimize pain, to keep going even when they're tired or unwell. That belief doesn't fade with age, it deepens. Older women especially carry this sense of endurance. Nuns. They've lived through decades of showing up for others no matter what. So when a strange symptom arises, they don't panic, they endure. But viruses thrive in silence. They rely on being undetected. And they gain strength in the time it takes for us to realize something's wrong. Sometimes it's more than just physical. It might come through emotional shifts, suddenly feeling anxious for no clear reason, or unusually sad, or disconnected from yourself. These too can be symptoms of a virus affecting the nervous system or immune function, but we often label these changes as just stress or just aging and move on. The truth is, the immune system and the nervous system are deeply connected. When one is under attack, the other often follows. So those feelings of fog, fatigue, irritability, or overwhelm might not just be emotional. They could be biological, rooted in a viral disturbance you can't yet see. There's also the issue of misdiagnosis. Many doctors, when faced with vague symptoms in older women, may first suggest it's hormonal, psychological, or age-related. And yes, sometimes it is, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes that skin issue is the beginning of shingles. Sometimes that constant tiredness is your immune system trying to control a reactivated virus. And sometimes that brain fog isn't from just getting older. It's inflammation triggered by an internal infection that hasn't been identified. The challenge is that viral symptoms mimic so many other things, but the opportunity lies in learning to pay attention to the patterns that don't feel like you. So how do you know what's a real warning sign? You start by observing what's persistent. Anything that lingers longer than a couple of weeks, especially things like unexplained fatigue, low-grade fevers, nerve pain, recurring sore throats, or ongoing fogginess, should not be ignored. If you feel like you're not recovering the way you used to, or if something new keeps coming back again and again, that's your body asking for attention. That's your signal to pause and investigate, not power through. Listening to these signs isn't weakness, it's strength. It's strength. It's an act of self-respect. Your body is not trying to slow you down to punish you, it's trying to protect you. But it needs your cooperation. It needs you to stop waiting until the pain is loud and undeniable. It needs you to trust the quieter signals, the ones that whisper instead of shout. You shout. Because the earlier you notice these things, the sooner you can act. The sooner you act, the more power you have to prevent something small from becoming something serious. You are not meant to live in survival mode. You are meant to thrive, aware, resilient, and in tune with the wisdom your body has always tried to share. There's a quiet strength in choosing to protect your body, not just after illness strikes, but before it ever begins. That's the real heart of building what I call a viral shield. It's about creating an internal environment where viruses don't stand a chance, not through fear or avoidance, but through daily decisions that fortify you from the inside out. And the good news is, you don't need complicated routines or expensive treatments to get there. What you need is consistency, awareness, and a mindset that values your health before it's compromised. Your first line of defense is always your immune system, and like any strong system, it requires nourishment, not just food, but rest, breath, movement, and moments of stillness. Nutrition plays a foundational role, especially in the later stages of life when the body doesn't process and absorb nutrients the same way it once did. So focus on the essentials. Foods rich in zinc, selenium, vitamin C, D, and E. These aren't trendy supplements, they're the building blocks your immune cells rely on to function. Whole foods like leafy greens, berries, garlic, turmeric, and fermented foods support gut health, which in turn boosts your immunity. Even small improvements in your diet can have lasting effects. Sleep is another non-negotiable. When you sleep deeply and regularly, your body repairs itself. It resets your nervous system and regulates your immune responses. But many older women struggle with sleep. Hormonal changes, stress, or chronic pain can disrupt rest. So it becomes crucial to develop a nighttime routine that signals your body it's time to let go. Gentle stretches, turning off screens, dim lighting, and deep breathing can guide your body back into balance. Don't underestimate the healing power of even an hour of uninterrupted restorative sleep. Then comes movement, not the kind that exhausts you, but the kind that wakes you up from within. Gentle practices like walking, Tai Chi, or even 10 minutes of flowing movement each morning can stimulate lymphatic drainage, oxygenate your blood, and keep inflammation at bay. When your body moves with intention, your immune system responds by becoming more alert, more efficient, more protective. And when paired with mindful breathing, movement becomes not just physical, but deeply healing. And finally, consider the importance of emotional resilience. Stress, especially when carried silently, can suppress your immune system just as much as poor diet or lack of sleep. Practices like breathwork, time in nature, or moments of mindful silence help you stay grounded. They give your body the calm it needs to operate with clarity. Your state of mind isn't just emotional, it's biological. When your mind is at peace, your body becomes stronger. Building a viral shield is not about isolating yourself or living in fear. It's about becoming aware of what you allow into your body, your mind, and your environment, then choosing day by day to protect your energy like it's sacred, because it is.